So, men, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Bryan Harold, Fabulous Mountain Lion, the incoming chair to MKP USA. I want to welcome you all to this meeting tonight, this chair's front porch. Got a interesting topic, listening to the Lions roar, so will be exciting. To open this up, I hope that Tom will bless us with a elder opening.
So, men, be comfortable, take a deep breath, and let go of everything else that you might have brought with you. On another breath, realize that we are entering the sacred space within which we operate, become enlightened, and do our work. Aho.
Oh, thank you, Tom. So I want to introduce a man who probably needs no introduction, Jon Levitt, who's had many roles in this project, but a new one that he has just taken on, lead of curriculum. But either in the this new role or his longtime relationship with the speaker tonight, Jon, can you give us some words about Mike and this new offering?
Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, welcome, man. Great to see you tonight. And among many things, I drove several thousand miles with Mike over the several years we were unifying as an organization. Mike was the second chair of MKP USA after each region became its own entity. And Mike's a man I admire deeply. One of the few men in his 70s that has wrestled me to the ground in my 40s. So we'll give him credit for that. And has been advocating for state change focus. And state change is a construct within integral theory. It is when I move from a state of being that has me just dealing with what's in front of me to a state of being where I'm transmitting to the world while doing less. And Mike will say that much more eloquently than I. So my dear friend, a man I respect, Mike Elser.
I'll pay you later, Jon. Yeah, boy, is it good to be here with you and see faces I haven't seen in a long time. Just wonderful. Dyden, I'm glad you're here tonight. Dyden, it's wonderful to see faces that were troublemakers with me. Dyden is one of them. Jon was one of them. David Carr was one of them. Boyson was one of them. All at the beginning of reorganization. How wonderful. So maybe we can make this a little bit of a dialogue, Dyden. So what's most important? What's the most important thing? We could say family, we could say my mission. What is the most important thing? The mission statement, I'm sure you all know it, right? The mission statement of MKP, right? David Carr was one of the people who helped write that mission statement. It was adopted, I think, in 2014. Is that right, David? Something like that. We create a world where men act on their individual and shared responsibility for the future of humanity. Wouldn't that be a wonderful world to live in? Create a world where men act, not sit around on their asses, but act on their individual and shared responsibility for the future of humanity. And how do we do that? We do that by initiating and supporting men on a path of emotional maturity, spiritual awareness, and deepening community. Now that's a long way around, a fancy way to say, we need to grow up, we need to wake up, we need to clean up so we can show up. We've recently added Integral Zen has added another one to that. We need to fuck up and realize we're going to do it, right? So we need to wake up. We need to grow up. We need to wake up. We're going to fuck up. So let's admit that, celebrate it, right? Learn from it, clean up real quick, and then show up and rinse and repeat. In my view, that's the most important thing. That's the most, if we have a world of men who are emotionally mature, spiritually aware, have cleaned up their act, understand that we are all interdependent, interconnected, and interpenetrating, I don't care. The world's okay. So it's interesting. One of the things that, well, a couple of years ago, we created a thing called the Integral Mondo Zen retreat, which was to work on that. Diden and I co-led a number of them. I think we've had something like 500 or 600 people go through it. And we stopped doing it last summer for a number of reasons, one of which is that we've evolved the process and we needed to redo it. And then along came COVID, which put a stop on that for a little while. And a good bit of what this 7-week, 3-hour-a-week process is an experiential process of the IMZ. State, you can call it state experience. You can't train states, right? So what is growing up? Right? What is growing up? We teach growing up on the weekend with authenticity, I statements, doing what you say you're going to do, be as good as your word, and so on. Those are all basics of growing up. But we know that growing up goes through stages. You know, any child psychologist will tell you that. What's not as well known, unless you've taken integral or what do we call it, integral thinking, which is really more like integral being, is that we don't ever have to end growing up. But that's only been really known for about the last 120 years or so, since Carl Jung and some of the developmentalists. What has been known in every philosophical system around the world, I haven't found one exception to that, is states of consciousness. Understanding the deepest truth of who you and I are. Whether it's Sufism or Taoism or Hinduism or the Kabbalah, Jewish or Gnostic Christian, or Lakota. It's not different. Different words, different ways to look at it, but it's the same thing. Looking at the deepest truth of who you and I are. That's an experience. It's not a training. You can't teach somebody that. Guidance in my job is to point to the moon. Most of the time, people look at my finger. I don't see the moon. I don't see the moon. And occasionally, they'll see the beautiful moonlight or the beautiful moon, but they'll fail to see the beautiful moonlight that fills the forest. Because it can't be spoken of. It has to be experienced. They say the Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao. No eye can see it, no ear can hear it. Then by what name can we call it? The old man is said to have said, to name a thing is to miss the mark. So that's what this training is about. We call it the Lions Roar. I was told by Boyson that we can't use Lions Roar because it's what do we call it? Yeah, we'd get in legal trouble. It's already been used. And I knew that, I guess. So we're calling it listening to the Lions Roar. There's lots of lions stories. Actually, I think there's another training in MKP that uses a lion story. But one of the things about the Lions Roar, you know, when the lions roar, all the animals in the woods run away, except for the young lions who lick their chops because they know that something good is coming. And what I'm looking for, what we're looking for in this training is young lions of any age, of any age. Both of us are Rinzai Zen priests. And Rinzai Rinzai is the order of the samurai soldier, right? And the reason the samurai soldiers practiced Zen particularly is to create a mind that they can put anywhere they want to, with the focus that they want to, for as long as they want to, without leaving anything out. Be right here. They say an angry samurai soldier is a dead samurai soldier. So understand the nature and purpose of emotion. A big part of what we do, right, is emotional literacy. Let's understand what the energy of the emotion is. Let's get the message so that we can use the wonderful, delicious energy of the emotion to do what needs to be done. I'm sure we've all felt an emotional contraction, anger, right? How wonderful would it be to feel the anger and to be able to do this and see what that anger is telling me, right? That's wisdom. See what is, not what I think it is, but what is. There's a lot of this going on right now. In my view, this is one of the things that can help us through this state training, being able to stay put right here without having to say anything, without having to do anything, to be right here. No going, no coming, just right here and be with what is. And whoever I'm talking to, it doesn't matter. I don't need to make them wrong. They probably have a good bit of the truth. But we're doing this to ourselves, right? What causes war? I cause war. So that's what we're doing this weekend. We have a couple of objectives. Agendas aren't bad. They're only bad if I hide them, right? So one of our objectives is to have people who are in this get a really deep taste of the truth of who they are. And we'll use a couple of different kinds of processes to do that. Meditation is a big piece of it. Now, there's lots of different kinds of meditation. There's feel-good meditation, and they're all good. I don't mean to belittle any of them. They're special. They all have their specialty. There's feel-good meditation, right? There's go to my happy place meditation. There's my relax meditation. The meditation we're talking about is concentration meditation. Be here now in this moment with everything that is in this moment. Get a true taste of who you are. And then hopefully we'll give you enough information that establishing a disciplined meditation practice will be important to you. This is mind training. It's not a lot different than going to the gym and lifting weight. What we're building is what the Japanese call jiriki, or staying power. Be able to stay here. Even if I'm feeling energy, a lot of energy, I can do this and see what's up. Right? Wisdom, that's compassion, knowing what I need to do. And then with clear intent, doing that one thing, that one right thing that only you know what it is, with all the skill of your lifetime. So get a true taste of who you are. Maybe get enough information that establishing a disciplined meditation practice would be helpful. You see the benefit of that. A third is to give you some tools that you can take with you. Some tools that will affect your life immediately. They saved my marriage, actually, I would have to say. We've been married for 49 years. Used to say we'd get divorced once a month just for practice. To be able to stay here and listen is really important. But that's what discipline means, by the way. I was told by a warrior brother who is a Latin scholar that discipline comes from disciplicene, the Latin disciplicene, which means listen, listen. It doesn't mean this. It means listen. Sit down, shut up, and listen, right? That was my first meditation instructions, by the way. Pull your head out of your ass, sit down, shut up, don't move. We'll teach it a little bit differently. So that's what we're going to do. Lots of different kinds of processes, lots of different, we have 3 different leaders. Diden's going to be leading with me. A man who's not here, Joseph Galeb, thank you. I just about forgot his name. I'm old. Joseph Galeb is going to be teaching with us. He's a young guy. Young guy to me is anybody under 40, maybe 50 now. I don't know. 7 weeks, 3 hours, we'll take a 10-minute break maybe, and lots of work. So that's what I have. Diden, what do you have to add to that?
I thought that was excellent. So I enjoy listening, Kodo. Practice by listening. Yeah, I think this thing that's so compelling about MKP and how it intersects with this meditative practice is we understand that the deepest truths are experiential and paradoxical. So you have to have the experience. We can talk all night. That won't really penetrate. You must have the experience. And the first element of the experience is stillness or silence. So as Rumi said, silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation. Whereas Kodo just said, to speak of the thing is to miss the mark. So we will encourage each other and support each other in having this experience of exquisite silence, and then see what happens for yourself. And then the paradox is, in the stillness comes clarity, and comes compassion, and comes wisdom. So it's a deeper knowing. It's beyond thinking, our normal thinking mind. And in fact, thinking mind is in the way. So the stillness promotes this calming down of our thinking mind. We have access to this deeper wisdom. And I know all you men know something of what I'm talking about. And it's part of what happens on our New Warrior trainings and in our I groups. There's these beautiful moments of seeing another man, seeing past his walls and his shadows to the truth of who he is. It's a beautiful gift we give each other. So this is, I see, I guess, a continuum of the work already being created by the New Warrior training, but specifically going into this deeper spiritual dimension, which is part of our mission statement. And in my mind, a missing piece for the New Warrior training Mankind Project as a whole. It's like a clarifying piece that's been needed, and now we have something to offer that, based on our retreats we've already done, is incredibly powerful and effective. And those retreats were open. So we had women there, we had men that were not warriors, and we found it incredibly powerful and effective for all comers. So I think we're onto something, and I'm excited to be part of sharing it. Thank you, Kodo. Oh.
Even going into the reservation now with Dallas Chief Eagle. This understanding, not that he's bringing it to the Lakota, he is helping the Lakota to remember their own tradition.
Yeah, but my Dallas is also a Rinzai priest. So that really raised eyebrows in his home place. But Dallas is an integrator. So Kodo's right. He's not teaching Zen or meditation per se. He's teaching ancient Lakota wisdom, but in this form of meditative silent stillness. And he uses rocks, the fathers, the grandfathers. So that's understood by the people in his culture. He's teaching children. They understand. So it's really profound, the work he's doing. But that's really our work for all of us. How do we translate deep wisdom? First, we have to have our own experience and some mastery in our own practice. And then how do we share that with one another? And that's what this is all about.
If this is Boys and Hodgson, I'll step in and help lead a Q&A if there's a Q&A going to happen. And if nobody else has questions, I'll start us off with there's this whole thing about gross to subtle and subtle to causal. Can we talk about the gross New Warrior training adventure?
The gross New Warrior training adventure?
Gross to subtle. Can we talk about those transitions? So draw some more distinctions around
So those are words that are often used in state training: gross, subtle, causal, witnessing mind, non-dual, turiya, theta, and all of that stuff. So gross is, men generally come to the New Warrior Training Adventure, many of them anyway, with just a gross sense of the world, right? What I put my hand on, that's what's real, right? More toys, more toys, more toys. And they realize that more toys is not going to help, right? There's other things. And they come to the New Warrior Training weekend. Well, I hope we start doing those again soon. And we kind of break them down, right? We take all their stuff away from them. We take their name away from them, give them a number, right? Break them right on back. And we have them start altered space, we call it, right? They discover that they have emotions, and the emotions come from someplace. They probably come from a childhood wound. Oh my God, that's like going from black and white into color. It was for me anyway. It absolutely was for me. Well, that's gross to subtle, right there. It's gross to subtle. There is a way of looking at energy or at sensation that is finer than gross, right? Than just things. We could call it energy. Emotions are energy, right? We feel the emotion inside. And it's just energy, It's like cloud-like, if you will. We go to the sweat lodge. Ooh, that sweat lodge is a wonderful place to start really deepening into that subtle understanding. Unfortunately, I've seen it in my eye groups anyway. You may have seen something similar in your eye group where a man comes in, does work, deep work, says, oh, I'm a new man now, and then goes out. And the next week he comes in and does the same goddamn work again. Anybody seen that? Right? We even have a word for it, right? Wound worship. Yeah, me too. Right, wound worship. Right, he's stuck. David Carr coined this kind of thing: is we can all get stuck in the hamster wheel. A lot of men get stuck in the gross hamster wheel. Then we get them out of that one, and we go to the New Warrior Training. Now they're stuck in the subtle hamster wheel. Now it's all about emotions. You know, I'm in my emotion. I feel mad. I'm glad. Whatever it is, they're stuck in their emotions. Well, we can go beyond that. We can go beyond that to what's called causal. Now, a way that I like to think of these states is: have you ever seen a beautiful deep blue sky? Just imagine the deepest blue sky you can imagine, right? One of the things that's happening is there's not a lot of moisture in the air, right? A pale blue sky has a lot of moisture in it, but you really can't see the moisture. You just see the pale blue sky. And as there gets to be more moisture in the air, then wispy clouds will start to form. And as the hydrogen atoms get together and they form more hydrogen, and they get more hydrogen atoms together and cluster, they start getting darker clouds and darker clouds until suddenly it starts to rain. So the beautiful empty blue sky, that's emptiness. That's non-duality. Nothing here. As the moisture gets more and more, that's causal. Just the sensation, just the bare sensations. Sensations get together and they form energy. They could be emotions, could be a lot of things. I mean, I'm seeing rooms that have depth, but if I touch the screen, there's no depth, right? And if I really look at the screen, all it is pixels. It's just energy. But my mind has made things out of it, right? And the rain coming down is all of a sudden gross. So that's one way of looking at it: is how do we actually feel, right? So that's one of the geniuses, I think, that the early founders, the founders of MKP, among them David Carr and help me out.
Tosi.
Rich Tosi. Yeah, Ron Harry.
I'm old, right? That I've talked to Tosi about this a good deal, and David and I have talked about it. Is at the time didn't realize the power of it, of helping men go from gross having them have a state change. We talk about altered states. This is really an altered state in a subtle fashion, and we need to move past that. We need to stabilize at a deeper state of consciousness. We don't have to. It's just helpful. It allows us to see more. State change allows us to see more of what is. Many men have denied their emotions. They've pushed them down. They don't even feel their own bodies. They're dead to them until they come to the New Warrior training and do that kind of work. And as we move into emptiness, there's more to see. Is that what you wanted, Boyson?
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
Larry O'Connor has his hand up. Larry, what? Okay.
I think you may have just answered it in the chat, Boyson. I was about a month ago, I think I had printed out something from these guys, and but then I didn't take it because I was taking some other stuff with MKP, and I thought I'd have too much to do. But now I'm confused coming into this call whether this is about something that has already happened once and is going to happen again. Is that it?
I can
Or
help.
is it this is something that's never happened yet?
Never ever happened before, and some say it couldn't be done. So we have a course now that's a self-directed course called Integral Thinking, which is all recorded, pre-recorded interviews, very low cost. It's $40 to go through the integral course, which gives an overall picture of kind of integral thinking, integral theory, which encapsulates some of the concepts that we're talking about here. This thing is the rebirth of what MKP USA has been working with Integral Zen on, which is an integral 3 or 4 day retreat taken into the online space. So this practice of sitting meditation plus exploration through Zen koan and a process to take it deeper.
Okay.
Everybody know what a koan is, by the way? Okay, so let me explain.
The sound of that, right?
Huh?
The sound of this thing.
That's right. It's like your
The sound of one hand is a koan. It's an enigmatic question that can't be answered by the thinking mind. Yeah. Do you know your face before your mother and father were born? What's the sound of one hand? We brought it into the West saying, what's the sound of one hand clapping? It's the sound of one hand.
I'll let you guys go back, but just the tail end on that. Is this something that people that have had some experience, like I've done hollow bones, so is that something to jump into, or is this more for somebody who's never done any of that?
Yes.
No.
Come.
Okay, that's the answer. Okay.
I mean, if you've had experience, you'll just go deeper.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Love to see you there.
Am I ever done meditating? Oh, I've meditated. I'm all done with that now.
We call it meditation practice for a reason.
Other questions in the room? Just the other details that I put in the room. So we're still finalizing our first dates on this. We're looking at late November for a start. It'll be $195. It's a 6-week course. Before the call ends, I should have a simple little web form if you want to add yourself to a wait list so that you'll know as soon as it comes out.
We are asking for men to commit to practicing, to sitting 3 times a week, which is really minimal. But it's to get us to get a really good start. Or you could sit with my wife and I have an online 1-hour meditation every day on Zoom. So you're welcome to sit with us anytime.
Go. I see Jack Palin's hand. Jack.
Yeah, backing up here a little bit, one of the things that came to mind when you mentioned the little wheel that you get stuck in. And it just came to me in a rush. I was one of those guys that would get stuck in that wheel. And it took me a while to realize it. But the thing that caused it for me was fear. Fear of exposing myself. Fear of seeing the real me. So that was a big breakthrough for me once I realized that. And took me quite a while. And thanks to MKP stimulating my mind in that way, I'm grateful because I find myself doing that in life outside of MKP also. So it's helped me a lot,
That's great.
that realization. So thank you.
Yeah. So one of the things that we will learn in this is what are emotions telling you? What's that fear actually telling you? There's a deep message in that fear. I think it was the guest house, right? Rumi's guest house, right? Welcome them all. I can't do the poem. You know the
Are you up
poem?
for some poetry?
Yeah.
So this being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a meanness, a depression. Some momentary emotion comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they should be a crowd of sorrows sweeping your house, empty of all its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Greet them at the door laughing. Invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Yeah. A guide from beyond. What's the message? Right? This is knowledge that is thousands of years old, probably back to the shamans 40,000 years ago. So what's the message in that fear? What's it really telling me?
I have one in the chat. We're talking about a series of meetings that we'll start in mid-November.
We're talking about meeting once a week, 3 hours. We'll be doing some sitting meditation, some meditation instruction, some process, some breakout stuff.
Okay.
It's got to be experiential. You can't really teach this. You've got to experience it.
Right.
And Kodo, would you say it's sequential? So it's important that participants come each session.
Yes, it is sequential. We're asking people to be there 5 minutes early. 5 minutes early is on time. Right, we're not going to wait.
Is there a cutoff date?
For enrollment?
Yeah.
Not yet, because there isn't a registration.
Yeah, they don't even have a date yet, let alone a cutoff date.
There will be a cutoff date, and it will be about 5 days before the training starts.
And there'll be a maximum number too.
Yeah.
Is this an evening thing or a daytime thing?
What is it?
I think it's probably going to be an evening thing. I think that's where we're headed.
I'll take one more question.
Yeah.
Ask one more. I have seen so far a pattern where it looks like both myself and Mankind Project are asking themselves, what does it mean to be human, given everything that we know now? And that's kind of been the question that I've been asking. And a lot of these courses, like Waking Up to Whiteness, Introduction to Privilege, and all this, are making big strides in my life towards getting at this fundamentalness. And I see this as a route to seeing all those in terms of that. But what I'm wondering is that my imagination, or is that a thing we're doing?
That's the thing we're doing.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Then yeah.
To be able to study your own mind, to see how your mind actually constructs emotions, to be able to be so much in the moment that you can see the moment, you can see what's arising, to see what is. I mean, most people, and we all do it, I do it certainly, is what cognitive scientists have learned, and it's not just recently, they've known this for the last 50 years, but it hasn't been generally known, is that we are, and all vertebrates do this, we predict our world. So we have the information coming in, and then we pick out a concept as to what our body state should be, and then we prepare our body states for that. What's really interesting with that is that if the next moment doesn't match my prediction, one of two things happen. Either I change my prediction and do something different. That's the cognitive dissonance that we have on the weekend, that we build in so magnificently. Or I make it up. I put into the situation that which is not there. You've probably all discovered this. Has anybody here not taken a drink of something that they thought was one thing and it turned out to be something else? Right? They thought it was water and it was orange juice or something, right? You know, it takes a second to figure that out. That's that cognitive dissonance happening. It happens in about I don't know how they measure this, but about 1/300th of a second. That's how fast this magnificent body and brain we have is. So what cognitive scientists now know is that we actually do create our world. We create the world that we live in based on our view and our attitude. If I think the world is full of people who are going to try to take advantage of me, that's my view, and my attitude is, damn it, I'm not going to let them do that. Guess what I see? The world is full of people that I got to fight. And we can change that. And you can change it better if you can really see into your mind, see what's actually going on. If you can be quiet enough, silent enough. Many of you know Tom Pittner. Fugen is his Dharma name. He says to be still and still moving, to be still and still moving. The third Chinese patriarch, Sen Kan, says, stop activity, just stop activity and return to stillness. In this stillness, there is even more activity. Stagnating and duality. How can oneness be realized? So yeah, that's what we're up to. It's a fun adventure too. It's not all serious.
Fun adventure, yes. Yes. And there will be jokes told in every session.
You might even find the answer to the universal joke, the cosmic joke.
I thought I already said that's 42.
No, there's a better one.
Super. Well, if there are no other questions, so where I'm going to send y'all is on the MKP USA site, https mkpusa.org/Lions Roar. There's nothing on that page but a photograph.
Ooh, there's a great question. How do you handle monkey mind?
Oh,
Where'd that question come from?
that's Carrie, I think. I think that's Carrie Bell.
Yeah.
Anybody here experience monkey mind?
I'm experiencing it
Jesus,
right now.
busy, 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 right? Particularly in our age of thinking, right? I think, therefore I am, right? Descartes.
No, I am, therefore I think.
All right. How about I am, therefore there's thinking. I am, therefore there's thinking. So the first step in meditation is quieting the mind. Let the mind settle down. Concentrating the mind is what we're doing. And we're choosing to, there's two ways of, in tradition, to concentrate the mind. I kind of like it to, well, one way is to get really, really tight. All right, I can't tighten anymore. And I let loose. And I drop through. That's kind of the traditional. And the other way is to just reduce the efforting, right? The trying, to stop doing and return to silence. What's the difference between energy and effort? Anybody?
Effort's extra.
Yeah, effort takes an I. Effort takes a me.
Oh.
Yeah, you're right. Effort is extra. Every time I do this, I'm making an I. I'm making an I. It's me. So we reduce the effort. We reduce the effort, consciously reduce the effort. We don't try to reduce the effort. You can't try, you just do, right? And let the effort die down. I liken it to squeezing some orange juice into a bowl. That's a lot of liquid, and leaving it out in the sun. And the sun will eventually evaporate some of the juice, and you're left with orange concentrate. So we're concentrating the mind so it can stay right here. I used to think that the only thing to think about was what to do next. So monkey mind is a real deal. Yeah. The voices in my head. Anybody have conversations in their head?
Mhm.
My dad used to say it's not bad to argue with yourself, or to talk to yourself. It's not even bad to argue with yourself unless you lose the argument. Don't do that. So how do we quiet all the chatter? Most people don't know that chatter even exists until they start sitting down and meditating. Then it's like, oh my God, where'd that come from?
Well, I thank you, Daiden, Kodo, for being here. And I'm going to hand it back to Bryan Harold to close us out.
All right, thank you, Boyson. I'm going to put in the chat the URL to the MKPUSA.org training catalog. And this training, when it becomes booked and available, will be there. But I wanted to point out particularly 4 trainings that are coming up very quickly. There's a basic skills course on intercultural competency. It's teaching the visions model for intercultural speak. That is October 28th. Very good course if you want to get some skills and consistency in language. There's a Living Through Disruption, a new course that has been part of the expansion of courses that we've created in the project. That's November 3. The men's work Crossroads, David Carr, who's in the audience here, one of the people behind the Crossroads training, November 9, and an iGroup facilitator training on November 13. So, and check on that link to the training catalog. You'll find that we have a tremendous number of offerings as we deal with this challenging time that we find ourselves in. With that, I think I'd like to toss it over to Paul, the chairman of MKP USA, for a closing.
Thanks, Bryan, very much. Carrie, I would like it if you could put everybody on the screen so we could have all see each other as I close this out for the evening.
Yeah, I just one quick question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Popping into my mind is these trainings. Because there's no NWTA, I have a man in our I group that's been coming to our I group since just at the start of the pandemic, and he has a thirst for knowing more. Are these trainings limited to MKP men only?
Crossroads is designed exactly for that man.
Yes.
Crossroads is exactly for that man. Send him to Crossroads.
Okay.
And the unpacking power and privilege, I think, would be open to that man as well.
Boyson, do you want to share a couple of other programs for men who are not initiated?
Yeah, I mean, our intro program is the men's work. That's our 3-week introductory
Mhm.
course. We're going to be running 5 sessions a month starting in November. We're running 4 now, 14 men, 2 facilitators. That is a primer for sitting in men's group. If you've had a guy like Jack was talking, who's been sitting in men's group, Crossroads is it, 6 weeks. Deeper dive concepts that we're all familiar with from the NWTA, and really a course about confronting resistance, confronting shadow, moving through shadow. The intercultural courses that we're offering, Waking Up to Whiteness, Unpacking Power, Privilege, and Difference, and the new basic intro to intercultural competency are all open courses. So if someone is interested in deepening their intercultural competencies, there's places to go there. And Jim Katona says, rightly so, there's an online open men's group happening right now, even as we speak. We'll be expanding to 2 nights a week, and they've got 200 men have registered for that just in the last couple of weeks. And so we're going to be expanding that offering, and they have a room full of facilitators, so they just can get as many guys in as they need, break them out into smaller rooms, and run
What's it
open men's.
called? What was
I'm
that
sorry?
called?
Online open men's groups.
Okay.
If you go to mkpusa.org and go to men's group, it's going to be right at the top of the page how you register for that.
Thanks, Boyson, and thanks for that question. And I'll get right into my gratitude and thanks. I want to start with leading with that question. I want to thank specifically in the beginning of this, Jon and Boyson for all the work that's gone on in curriculum, the way the corner has been turned since February to really adapt to the times we're in and to provide kind of programming. And I am so grateful, and we are so blessed to have what's happening there on a regular basis. So thank you, 2 men, for that. Carrie, thanks for doing all the technology here and all of these town halls and all of the front porches and all that we do. I'm really grateful that you've given yourself to us for that. Bryan, for leading these now and the way you do such a great job with that. I think that Mike, my heart is so open and so so touched by what you and Dayton have brought for us tonight, helping us sink into a deeper part of yourself, get in touch with and begin to open the doors into our homes where spirit lives, homes of ourselves. So thanks for putting that program together. Thanks for bringing it here, and I hope that we can all benefit in that dimension. In that same sense, Tom, thank you for blessing us into this call tonight. I appreciate that. I'd like us to close, but before that, all of you in this room that continue to come week after week to these different programs also touch my heart, and knowing that we're continuing to move ourselves forward in the world, continuing to make a difference in ourselves, in our families, in our communities, and in the world. They need us now and are getting us now more than ever. So thank you for all of that. It's a blessing to be in this work. So thank you for that. Dayton, I'm going to catch you a little off guard if you don't mind. I'd like for you to close us out by saying that poem again for us. I was so touched by that, and I'd appreciate the name of it at the same time. So if you don't mind.
I'd be honored. Yeah, so the poem is Guest House by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a meanness, a depression. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they should be a crowd of sorrows, violently emptying your house of all its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Greet them at the door laughing. Invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Thanks, and thanks, Dayton, and blessings to all of you. And thank you for coming tonight.